Hi, what's up everybody? Today we're going to be covering more Reddit stories, and this time it's going to be on relationship advice.
Alright, the first one comes from r/relationship advice. My 20 male girlfriend, 21 female, going to party with ex weird? My girlfriend is going home for Thanksgiving break, and she said she's going to her best friend's birthday party as well. It's sort of a high school reunion thing, as we're both in college and she's going to see a lot of her high school peers again. One of them may be her ex-boyfriend. She said he might be coming to the party as well. This ex, she said a lot of things about to me, some including sexual. Talking about how big his was, how it was a bad high school relationship, etc. She told me in advance. I was like, that's interesting, but whatever, it isn't that big of a deal. This relationship's over. Straight up.
Why do you say that?
I mean, if she's talking about him like that and they're going to a party together where the boyfriend's not going to be present.
But if she said it was a bad relationship, like she had a bad relationship with him, I don't think she's going to want to go back to him.
I'm just saying.
Also, like, what context was that set in? Like, was it him asking about, like, who have you been with prior and stuff like that? And then she was like, oh, my one ex. And then because sometimes I feel like people will ask that question and be like, oh, how big was your ex? You know?
I just think the relationship's over with already.
I think if she talked about him like that, completely out of context, was like, oh, yeah, my ex was... That's a little weird, in my opinion.
Hung like a horse.
Stop. Then yeah, it's pretty over, I would say then.
Then she assured me that, quote, nothing is going to happen and that they, quote, only kissed, which I know is a blatant lie, to make me feel reassured. This raised some flags with me.
How would she know he's, quote unquote, hung like a horse if they only kissed?
Yeah, this relationship's cooked. I don't really know what else to say. Buddy, start getting in the gym, is what I can say.
Did you say Oh my gosh.
I've never suspected my girlfriend of cheating before, but I trust her a lot and really love her, but I got a weird feeling about this. It seems she got so defensive when I brought up the fact that it was kind of weird for her to be talking to her ex. Personally, I feel like the way I feel is valid because I've been cheated on. Now I'm low-key depressed from this. Any advice?
Break up with her.
Yeah, start working on yourself, King.
Okay. Oh my word. I would say break up with her, honestly. Like, you're both pretty young and like you have your whole life ahead of you, and if you're already having like doubts, and you're not saying how long you've been together, did they?
Let me see. It doesn't mention it.
Break up especially if you're already suspecting cheating. Yeah. It's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, trying to find a good comment.
Especially because she lied. She said, we only kissed, but how would you know how big you only kissed?
I'm seeing a lot of comments kind of sharing our sentiment on the story. I'm trying to find a funny one, though. Like, there's... Pretty sure that's not your girlfriend anymore, dude.
Oh, man.
I think this story's more funny than anything.
I kind of feel bad for him.
Yeah. Alright, our second story also comes from r/relationship advice. What would you, 41 male, do if your partner, 41 female, wanted a weekend away and you had children? I, 41 female, am a stay-at-home mother, and husband, 41 male, works and owns his own business. Married for 13 years. We have 3 children, 2, 5, and 9. I was thinking that maybe next year I could take a weekend away with a friend or two. Not a crazy bachelorette weekend, but a standard ladies weekend. Husband got beyond upset so much that he's thinking of moving out. First he said I'm the kid's primary caregiver, so no, I can't go. How can he watch them? He works Saturdays. He can't believe that I want to go without him, and why didn't I ask for a couple's weekend?
Is that the whole story?
No. There's more. I was just taking a break so we can kind of share our initial thoughts.
I don't like him.
My initial thought is this is not a real story. This sounds far too obtuse for it to be a real story.
Like, you don't think there's anybody that disconnected with life?
I think there's a way where the husband could get upset, but like just immediately talking about moving out, yeah, this ain't real.
I want to fight him.
You want to fight this fake story character, like one of your books?
Yes.
I don't know. This feels too disconnected from reality for it to be a real story. At least for me, personally.
I hope it's fake. Because I hope there's not a man like this married to a woman who has, and then they have kids. Because he's just a walking red flag. If this is real.
Alright, let's see here. Of course, a couple's weekend is also great and something we talked about in the past, but he can't remember. The two can both occur. I don't know why he's so mad. He says he feels used and I can't use his money. Then he went on a rant about when we do go on vacation, it's with the kids and he has to work still and no one cares and he doesn't even get laid.
This has to be fake.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. That is...
This is just somebody trying to write like the stereotypical just asshole father. And they're just doing too much. They're going way too far off the deep end.
I do think that there are relationships like this.
I think there are. I think there can be partners that do some of these things. I think it is not realistic though for even no matter how bad you are for it to do all of these things.
I don't know. Haven't you heard of those like?
I've heard of
mama boys.
I've heard of it. I've heard of certain things occurring before. But only like one, like I don't think that all of these happening simultaneously is a real story.
I feel like
feels like somebody's writing up a character and they're just picking off. They're looking down the stereotype list and saying, "Yeah, I'll take all of them."
Maybe. I also feel like maybe it's like these things happen very spaced out, and they're just throwing it all into this one encounter to make him sound like a horrible human being.
Potentially, yes. But I just don't think it's realistic for all of these things to happen all at once in one singular conversation.
If it's fake, good, because then there's not a horrible human being like this out there. If not, he's a horrible human being.
Yeah. Where was I? Doesn't get laid. I almost canceled all vacations with him because he can't handle being with the kids for more than a day and mopes around grouchy. Far worse than any annoying kid's behavior, in my opinion. Yeah, this has to be fake.
You would have divorced him by now.
Yeah, this wouldn't have gotten this far if he was like this. He also is upset that I'm not helping him with his business. He only does his chore. Wait, his only domestic chore. Oh, okay. His only domestic chore is occasionally he'll take out the trash and he puts the two older ones on the bus. I try to do it as much at home so he's not stressed, but it's not enough. If I work, he will not take over any chores. Anyway, he's clearly stressed and super offended. He wants to have a conversation about expectations, and if it doesn't work out, he'll move on. That just doesn't feel like realistic.
Sounds like a big baby.
Yeah, if this was a real story, yes.
Let's talk about it as if it was a real story. What would be your advice?
I mean, I don't know what advice you can give this person.
Divorce.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like it'd still be hard to divorce him if you have 3 kids. He owns his own business. She's a stay-at-home mother. I don't know. It just definitely feels to me like somebody like looked at all the super popular parts of Reddit stories and it's like, I'll take all of them.
I understand that. But if it was real, I'd say she's already basically a single mother. Divorce. She's already doing everything. That's the thing. Like, the only thing doesn't have right now is making money. She is working. It's just not one that she's getting paid for. I feel like this is fake, though.
I'm trying to see if anyone else is catching on in the comments, but they're giving, like, actual advice. Like, telling her to move on. Like, no one seems to be thinking that this is a fake
because
story.
There are horrible human beings like this out there. So, and there's also so many stories like this on Reddit that nobody's probably thinking, like, oh, this is fake. Also, it's not a throwaway account. So, like, maybe see if
let me see if it is
posts.
A throwaway account. Yeah, let's see if there's any sort of, like, updates. Gotta scroll back up to the top. Posts. I mean, it looks like a legitimate account.
So there is a horrible human being like this out there who should be a single father.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess so. But yeah, our advice, just don't put yourself in that situation, I guess.
No. That is horrible.
I know.
Try to get out of that situation.
I was just kidding. I want to put it out there. I was just kidding. Alright, our final story from the day comes from r/relationship advice as well. Girlfriend 20 female wants to break up with me 20 male over meal tracking. I'm really into sports, and as part of that, I count my calories to stay in a slight surplus. Last night, my girlfriend and I had an argument where she told me that my calorie tracking makes her feel uncomfortable. She asked me to stop tracking my food intake on weekends and when we're together, as we're currently in a semi-long distance relationship. Already, I don't like the girlfriend.
I understand the girlfriend, especially if you have history of an eating disorder, and if he's being very public about it and being very much so like, I can't eat that. That's this many calories.
I understand that, but at the same time, I think it's as long as, I mean, we haven't read far enough, but as long as I don't think he's pushing it on her, I don't think she can get upset with him just simply counting his calories.
Yes, unless he's being very public. Because, like, you know, I have history of an eating disorder. And if you started to, like, wanting to hardcore track your calories, weighing out your food and all this, that would 100% trigger my eating disorder. Especially, unless you were just doing it on your own in there, not announcing, like, oh, I can only have this much of this. Or, like, if we go out on a date, and then you're like, oh, I can't eat anything on this menu. Because ABC, and I was say looking so forward to this date and trying like a food I've never had before or something, and you're just upset the whole time because it doesn't match your calorie counting. It very much so depends how he's going about it.
Yeah, let's get some more context before we can kind of share. To give some extra context, I don't ask her to track her food or make any changes to her eating habits. I simply like to keep an overview of what I've eaten during the day. I also encourage her to eat whatever she wants, and I handle all the cooking and weighing myself.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the girlfriend's
then she's just being annoying.
Like, I don't know. I mean, like,
if that's an insecurity, she's got to work on that.
Yeah, she can't lash out. She can't take out this frustration on her boyfriend.
No.
The argument escalated, and it ended with her saying she would break up with me if I didn't agree to stop tracking around her.
That's toxic.
Yeah.
That's toxic. You're better off.
Yeah. On one hand, the choice seems clear. I don't want to lose her over calorie counting. But on the other hand, this has left me questioning if our relationship is in a healthy place, if something like this can be a deal breaker. Should this be a warning sign for me?
Yes.
Yes. If she's gonna lose it this much over something small like calorie counting.
Especially since you're not like going to a restaurant and being like, oh, I can't eat anything on this menu. Or like she made you, especially because she's not even the one making the food.
Yeah.
Like he's in there doing it himself. He's not even doing it like where she can honestly see it. Like I don't get why it's bothering her so much.
Yeah, I don't know. TLDR, my girlfriend wants me to stop tracking calories around her or she'll break up with me. And then we get an edit. To address some questions, I don't insist on tracking if we're going out to eat or cooking dinner together. We see each other every weekend, and I don't really like the idea of giving up tracking meals for 2 whole days on a regular basis. As far as I know, my girlfriend doesn't have a history of an eating disorder, but I'll try to ask her about this carefully to understand her perspective better. She mentioned that my calorie tracking makes her feel bad, but also said that I just need to accept that it bothers her. Thanks to everyone who shared their thoughts. It's been helpful, and I'll do my best to figure this out.
She sounds like toxic.
Yeah, she's refusing to switch off of her stance, and basically is just admitting that as long as he does this, there's no way that she's going to be happy with it.
Especially,
and that's just like insanely toxic, where she's just like saying that no matter what he does, as long as he continues this behavior, she's always going to be upset at him. She wants him to change she wants him to change without accepting change herself. She wants him to do all the moving and wants her to stay sedentary. And I feel like that's often a way that relationships lose sight of kind of the goal, where either one person is moving or like just really one person stays stuck in their own ways, rather than accepting that relationships have to change over time based on differing situations, differing circumstances. And if one person is unable to accept that, then oftentimes it'll lead to a disconnect between the two people.
Yeah, I think you said it really, honestly, perfectly, especially because he's not... Like, I would have understood her being upset if he was doing it when they went out to eat or making dinner together, being like, oh, you can't put that in because it doesn't match my diet or whatever. But he's not. He's going about it, and honestly, in my opinion, a very respectful way. Even if she, like, did have a history of an eating disorder, I feel like he's doing it in a very respectful way that it wouldn't trigger it. Like, I don't understand her issue with it, honestly.
Yeah, a lot of the comments are just mentioning how she probably has an eating disorder.
But even if she did, I don't understand how it would be triggering her if he's not...
I mean, she probably still notices it, even if he's not making a spectacle of it. Like him having his scale there and like weighing his different foods.
But if he puts... Maybe if he's using a scale, you know, as they typically do, put the scale away where she won't see it. If that's what's bothering her,
but,
like,
I mean,
just try to figure out what's bothering her.
If you're hiding stuff like that, the relationship's never going to work. If you're having to hide stuff like that.
Not necessarily if it's to protect her from her eating disorder. I mean, I've heard of people who have to, like...
I think if she's so stuck in her own ways that there's nothing that he's going to be able to do to fix this. Because I don't feel like giving up calorie counting is, like, him just catering to her needs here completely is necessarily the right path to go. And I think she's too stuck in her own ways.
I'm not saying, like, stop calorie counting. I'm just saying, like, if you're using the scale, put the scale back away somewhere. Like, rather than having it out all the time, you know?
But if it's going to just simply trigger her that he's using it during cooking, what is he supposed to do then?
I think he just honestly needs to talk to her and figure out what about it bothers her. I don't think he needs to instantly break up, especially if he loves her as much as he's saying. I think he needs to sit down and talk to her, ask her about a history of an eating disorder, ask her what part of it is bothering her. And if she says, oh, it's this part and there's nothing you can do to help that, you just have to stop counting, then yes, I think he needs to evaluate breaking up with her and the relationship's not healthy. However, if he finds out it's just seeing the scale and like just seeing the scale, honestly, then just try to figure out and like put the scale away or something like that. I don't think that's she needs to get over it, she needs to be comfortable with seeing the scale in the kitchen, blah 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 blah. No, like, as someone who has a history of that, the smallest things can trigger it. Going to a restaurant and seeing the calorie count right beside the thing, like, it's just a very present thing that you're constantly like trying to honestly like push against, and a lot of times it prevents you from not wanting to eat in general.
Where I'm coming from the angle of this is, instead of having a conversation about trying to fix the habit so that it better suits her eating disorder, she just threatened breaking up.
Yeah, I think that's an issue, but I also feel like that is just a defense mechanism. Like, how many times have me and you talked about something that was bothering us, and like, say I was coming to you about something that bothered me about something you're doing and vice versa, and our first reaction is defense.
Yes, but I don't know.
Especially because we're hearing it from
the guy's perspective. Yes. I don't know.
I feel like it's tricky.
I think she is stuck in her own ways, just based how I'm reading the story.
From how he wrote it, it does sound like that. However, I also feel like maybe he's leaving some words out, and maybe he just honestly needs to talk to her. And then if he finds out it is because of an eating disorder, then maybe talk to her about like how he could make it more comfortable for her if they're living, especially if it's long distance. So
semi-long distance. They see each other every weekend. Yeah,
so like maybe just figure that out. I don't think he needs to give up on calorie counting for 2 days. But yeah, I would say just honestly talk to her, and if she says there's like no help, then she honestly needs to work on herself. And it's not up to him to cure her eating disorder. Like, an eating disorder is something that you really do have to work on personally, especially if it's going to be affecting your health. Then there does need to be intervention, like a doctor and stuff like that. But if she's not, like, you know, hurting herself with the eating disorder, it's a very much so, like, personal journey. You need to become more comfortable with your body and the changes your body is having. And it's not up to your significant other to heal that insecurity of yours. I mean, there's things that he could do to help it, but it's not up to him to completely change his lifestyle to abide to her. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Did I word that right?
I don't know. Guess we'll find out from the comments.
Yeah.
Alright, but yeah, that was going to do it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Leave a comment if you had any thoughts of your own. And we will see all you guys next time.